You're listening to Ghostumentary Scary Short Stories, original pieces updated throughout the week.
Sandy is home. Cecil woke to the familiar sounds of clattering pans and the sizzle of something frying in the kitchen. For a fleeting moment, it felt like nothing had changed. Like the last 6 years hadn't happened. The comforting aroma of eggs and coffee wafted toward him, curling through the air in his dimly lit bedroom. It smelled just like the mornings when Sandy would be up before him, making their breakfast. Except that Sandy was gone. She had been for 6 long years. He blinked hard, trying to shake the grogginess from his mind. But the sounds, the unmistakable real sounds of someone cooking, would not fade. He wasn't hearing things. There was someone in his house. A wave of panic hit him. His heart raced in his chest, slow and heavy, like a drum that had lost its rhythm. He reached over to his nightstand and fumbled for the lamp, flicking it on. The weak light filled the room, and his gaze instinctively shifted to Sandy's side of the bed. The sheets were drenched in blood. His breath hitched in his throat, and for a moment he thought his 95-year-old heart would stop. The entire length of the bed was soaked, crimson seeping into the fabric, pooling beneath the pillow where her head had once rested. He scanned his own body, searching for any cuts, any injuries, but there was nothing. The blood wasn't his. Terror gripped him, stronger than his old bones could fight. He wasn't alone in this house anymore, and whatever had been in the bed beside him had left a trail. He forced himself to sit up, the stiff ache of his joints protesting as he swung his legs over the side of the bed. His bare feet touched the cold floor, and he noticed them, the bloody footprints, small and delicate, like a woman's, leading out of the bedroom. Cecil's mind raced. Was the source of the blood the same thing cooking in his kitchen? Was it Sandy? Had she come back from where? Heaven? Hell? Or something far worse? With trembling hands, he pulled himself up and staggered toward the bathroom, the old man's shuffle now more desperate. He flicked the light on and stared into the mirror. There, on his chest, was a bloody handprint, a small, delicate hand, right over his heart, exactly where Sandy used to place hers when she was falling asleep next to him. He froze, staring at his reflection. There was more, a smudge of blood on his cheek, as if someone had kissed him while he slept. His heart lurched. The kitchen sounds continued, the metallic clank of a pan, the scrape of something stirring. He smelled coffee, real coffee, so close he could almost taste it. Was it her? His mind spiraled back to her final days, bedridden, in agony, pleading with him for help, for life, and cure that had not yet been thought of. More doctors, more ideas, something to help her keep a life she was not ready to let go. But it was so hard for his to watch her suffer, so hard to not only see her be in pain each day, but also watch their retirement dwindle down each time they saw a new doctor try a new cure. He knew it was hopeless. Sandy wasn't ready to give up. He loved her so much, couldn't stand by and do nothing. So he did something. He made the call she, or no other doctor could. He took her life into his hands. Literally. He had smothered her with a pillow, his hands trembling as she fought him with a strength he hadn't expected. She wanted to live, and never more than that moment. She fought. She screamed, over and over, "I want to live. I want to live." He wanted her to live too, but not like this. The fighting stopped. And so did the pain. He ended her life. The guilt had eaten away at him ever since, gnawing at his insides like a rot that wouldn't stop. Her doctor later expressed his shock in her passing, as he told Cecil of her recent improvement. Her doctor told Cecil he actually expected her to improve. He expected her to live. What had he done? Did he do the humane thing? Or did he murder the love of his life? And is she back now? Did she want life so badly she found a way to return? But why now? Why today? Cecil walked back into the bedroom and followed the bloody footprints. shuffling slowly toward the kitchen, his heart hammering with each step. He stopped just short of the doorway and called out, his voice barely above a whisper. "Sandy?" The noises stopped. The clattering ceased as if the kitchen itself had frozen. For a moment, there was only silence, thick and suffocating. Cecil stood there, too terrified to move, too terrified to breathe. Then, after what felt like an eternity, the sounds resumed, the faint sizzle of eggs on the stove, the scrape of a spatula against a pan. It was so familiar, so normal that it made his skin crawl. He stumbled forward, doing the only thing he knew to do. He walked to his favourite chair in the living room, just like every morning, and sat down. "No toast," he muttered absently. The words felt alien in his mouth. What was he doing? Talking to a ghost? A hallucination? His mind wandered to that awful night. The night he had killed her. Was she back for revenge? He had taken her life, hadn't he? No matter how much he'd convinced himself it was for her sake. A mercy. Deep down, he knew the truth. She had wanted to live. She had fought him. And now, maybe she was fighting again, only this time. From the other side, he had to know. He couldn't sit still any longer. He forced himself up from the chair, ignoring the crack of his old joints, and staggered toward the kitchen. His breath came in short, ragged gasps as he neared the doorway. And then he saw it. Standing at the stove was not Sandy. It wasn't her at all. The figure was tall and grotesque, its fleshless body dripping with blood. Its skin had been peeled away, revealing muscles and sinew glistening beneath the dim kitchen light. Its hands, slick with gore, moved gracefully, almost casually, flipping eggs in the pan. The smell of iron hit Cecil's nose, sharp, bitter, mingled with the smell of something else. Something rotten. The creature turned slowly, its face a hideous, grinning skull with empty eye sockets that seemed to bore into him. Blood dripped from its exposed jaw, running down its neck in thick rivulets. It stared at him, its grin widening. Cecil trembled, his voice cracking. Where's Sandy?" The demon let out a deep, guttural laugh, a sound that seemed to vibrate in the very walls of the house. It turned back to the stove, blood splattering with each movement. "Up above," it rasped, its voice like nails on glass. "She won't be coming here. But she wanted me to give you a message." Cecil's throat tightened. "What message?" The demon turned its head again, that hideous grin stretching impossibly wide. It leaned closer, its voice a whisper that slithered through the air like a venomous snake. She wanted to live. The weight of those words crushed Cecil, heavier than anything he'd ever carried. The room spun, and his chest tightened in agony. He stumbled back, collapsing against the wall, clutching at his heart. As his vision blurred, he glanced back toward his bedroom, and there he saw it, himself. His own lifeless body, still lying in bed, untouched by the morning light. And in that moment, Cecil knew he wasn't alive anymore. He had been dead all along. And this was now his personal hell.
Looking for more scary tales? Subscribe to our podcast and visit ghostumentary.com. Let us know what you think or share with us your scary tales. We might just make a new story from it.